trying to cross my eyes. I've
You're
never
so
learned
cute.
how to cross my eyes.
Really? You just did it.
Like, look at your nose. Yeah, see? But I just look down.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I could see my nose. I have a pretty big one.
Can you
so
go
it's
look,
not
look
that
up
hard.
and do it? Like, look here.
Am I just looking
Yeah,
up?
you're just looking up.
My name is Doaa Abdelrahman. I am an Associate Professional Clinical Counselor, or APCC. I am Egyptian. I'm 26 years old.
Was there a moment where your Muslim identity was front and center and you were resilient in the face of pushback?
Oh yeah, so I've always felt different, just for being a Muslim, but also for being a sheikh's daughter in the Muslim community, so I've always been different. The first incident that I was able to actually process was somewhat in 4th grade, I think, when a woman tried to pull off my hijab. And that was one of the first incidents where I realized that, you know, every single Muslim is different in the United States. And then in the Muslim community, because I was a sheikh's daughter, I was always seen as different, viewed as religious. A lot of people didn't want to be friends because they were scared that I would judge them. But after I realized that I'm always going to be getting criticism, I'm always going to be judged for everything and anything that I do, I just decided to live my life.
How was it being the daughter of an imam? Do you ever think community members crossed boundaries with you?
I had random people that knew me and I didn't know them. They just come and like hold my face. But a lot of people also, like parents, would come up to me and tell me, please be friends with my kids. I want them to be religious like you. And this is them without even knowing me. Sometimes they didn't even know my name. They just knew I was a sheikh's daughter. So I kind of understood why a lot of kids might have not wanted to be friends with me, because they were constantly compared to someone they didn't even know. Alhamdulillah, like I grew up and I just started to educate myself on who I wanted to be and how important your own identity was. And how important it is to just please yourself, because for me, once I realized that the Prophet, who was the most perfect man, still got hate and criticism, it just helped me take like a deep breath, and I'm like, okay, if he got it, I'm gonna get it. There's just no way to stop it. So I might as well just do what makes me happy. And God, of course.
Did you always plan on going into mental health?
It was never a part of my plan. My plan was I wanted to be something that helped save lives and help change lives, which to me at the time was, you have to be a doctor. But after getting Crohn's disease, I was advised by my doctor and my family that it's probably not the best career to go into because of the stress. I saw this program that I got into and I went to an info session because I was like, it doesn't hurt. And the professor at the time said that, you know, every year we get more applicants and every year we accept less people. So I was like, what the heck, apply. And subhanAllah, I got accepted. So this is one of those things that I genuinely feel my career found me. I still fulfilled my dream of saving lives and helping people, and I get to make a difference every day.
Do you do a lot of navigating with Muslim clients between culture and religion?
Yeah, I actually, because I've noticed that there's such a huge difference between Islam and our own culture, I even try, if I have Christian clients, I try to do the same thing. Like, why don't we actually do some research so we can identify which one is the Western culture, which one is the religious culture. I don't like to call it culture.
Aspect. Religious aspects.
Yeah, sorry. And with my own community, because I do have a lot of people approaching me, like Muslims approaching me about mental health and stuff, I do try to advocate and I try to educate them on learning the difference between religion and culture, and actually being able to identify the difference between your Western culture, your own culture, and Islam, because incorporating that in your life is really hard.
Do you ever mix your secular mental health training with Islamic mental health care methods or teachings, or do you keep those separate?
So I do both. My goal was to always find a way to incorporate Islam and mental health together, and alhamdulillah, I feel like I fulfilled that goal. But I've also understood that a lot of people might not want to have that religious advice, but there is also people that don't want to have the mental health advice. So I kind of meet people where they are at. If you want the Islam advice, that's great. if you want my advice, there's like 5 different advice I can give you, and I tell them which one do you need right now and which one you feel like might actually help you.
Is cultural competency really an issue in mental health care?
Oh yes, especially with the African American culture. Some therapists are very quick to diagnose them with specific disorders, but they might not understand that that's just a cultural aspect. Like for example, us Egyptians, when we talk, we sound like we're angry and aggressive, even though we're probably saying, I love you and I love your food and please come over anytime. But if we don't understand that that's a cultural thing, someone can go ahead and tell me I have anger issues. I have witnessed several different therapists who try to refer Arab clients to me who might describe their parents as narcissistic. And I know what they're talking about, I just wouldn't call it narcissistic. And that's where it's important to have that cultural competency that, like, you know, first of all, I'm not going to understand every culture that exists in the world, but I have to be open to learning and understanding before I jump to a judgment and diagnosing them. I think one of my other issues is that incorporating trainings about Islamophobia and xenophobia needs to be happening more throughout mental health agencies, because I don't see that happening a lot. I also think that as much as, yes, there are so much trainings and they need support for people who have served in the army, I think we also need to be culturally sensitive when we're talking about the army, because I, for one, get really sensitive when we're talking about U.S. soldiers going to Afghanistan or Iraq, and it's mentioned very loosely in front of me. And people don't consider that other side, which is where I come from, and whereas I get it, they're traumatized, and I don't want to dismiss that pain, but I also don't want you dismissing my pain and what I know is happening on the other side.
Can you describe a moment being Muslim got you through a tough time?
Yeah, I had a lot of rough times, and I felt like I was alone majority of the time growing up, because everyone had their judgments about me. It was really hard to make friends. During one of my hardest time, I remember my dad just telling us to come read Quran, and I read the ayah that says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ, which means when he asks it, or she asks it, because I'm a she, tell them I am near, and it just brought me so much comfort, like, okay, no matter what, at least there's someone there, something believing in me, which is something that I always try to advocate for mental health as well.
Do you have advice to Muslims, particularly Muslim women in the West, who find it hard to comfortably be Muslims in this society?
I get that it's draining to have to incorporate all of these important sides of you into one. I get that sometimes you feel like you need to be fake to be cool and to fit in, but honestly, I wish I listened to the people that told me to love myself and not worry about people's judgments. And again, I know it's the biggest cliche that we hear in our lives, but being at a point where you do love yourself, you kind of see, like, man, did I waste so much time trying to please a lot of people that are no longer in my life and that I did not care about. So just do you. I feel really nice dressing up today. Thank you, Doaa.
You're welcome.